and get into this reaction. So here's the Chrome tab. I'm going to pull it up, hold my hand over the things, and just go straight to the website. So I can't see any of these down here. I'm hovering my mouse over them, but I can't see them, so I'm going to click right here. This is the official One Piece card game rules restrictions list. All right, so I'm going to accept all the cookies, and just like that. So banned and restricted card edition notice. This is my first time doing a live reaction to these, so I will read these out for you guys. In the One Piece card game, you may include up to 4 copies of the same card number in a deck, right? It's called a playset. However, for official and sanctioned tournaments, some cards used in the game are designated as banned cards, banned pairs, or restricted cards. Please be aware that cards on this list may be removed in future versions depending on the state of the game environment at the time of list updates. So then they go into the policy of banned and restricted card revision. Alright, so I'm not going to scroll anywhere past here until we're done reading. We, the development team of One Piece card game, consider as the main policy for game designing that the players and fans can enjoy numerous decks built around the leader card. Throughout the year, we continuously monitor the game environment to ensure strategic diversity is maintained, always considering whether revisions to the banned restricted card list are necessary. We contemplate implementing banned and restricted card considering multiple aspects of certain decks, such as the winning rate, the results of several competitions, the usage rate, which is how much the deck has been used in one competition, the comprehensive influence of the future of the game environment, and if a certain deck will inhibit the play of various leaders. For that reason, we also consider removing certain cards from the banned and restricted card list, considering changes to the game environment, and if we can ensure the players and fans will be able to fully enjoy the game once again. Typically, we plan to announce revisions to the list once after the conclusion of Championship Season 1 in Japan and once after the World Championship. However, if we estimate that a certain card... Excuse me, boys. However, if we estimate that a certain card is going to prevent us from providing an enjoyable environment, we will add banned or restricted card without waiting for the end of a championship season. So banned restricted cards effective from August 30th. So the end of this month, we got 10 days. 2025. So it's currently the 20th, as you can see down here at the time I'm recording this. So I'll have 10 days to play with the old meta before this new one takes effect. Now, one thing I want to say real quick before we get into it, cards that people wanted banned. I know there was talks of Blue Purple Luffy being the boogeyman of our current meta. There was talks of Gum Gum Giant. People were also saying that Hody Jones will get banned, not because he deserves it as much as just like as a stray to knock down decks like Yellow Green Law or Jewelry Bonnie, Yamato, anything of that sort, because Blue Purple Luffy is going to be weaker. And people were wanting to get rid of Gum Gum Giant because Green Purple Luffy is just as represented almost and as powerful as Blue Purple Luffy, and the current meta kind of revolves around Blue Purple, Green Purple, and then Red Yellow Bellow Betty being a really good counter to both of those decks has also been very strong. So there were talks of them maybe touching one of the cards in that deck as well. I really hope that they don't touch Gum Gum Giant because I have 2 Luffy decks myself. Neither one is Blue Purple, but Gum Gum Giant is a very important piece of one of them and a decent card in the other one. Some people were also saying things like Blackbeard. So I personally, for my Banlist predictions, I really want to see Blue Purple Luffy go as a leader. There are a lot of cards in that deck that are very strong. A lot of purple cards are very pushed right now. But without Blue Purple Luffy, those cards won't be doing anything that is too strong. There's a lot of cards like Blue Sanji that seem unfair in that deck. And Big Mom, Charlotte Linlin. But that card's not really, in my opinion, it's not too overpowered in any other deck. It is just strong in that deck specifically because you can double play with Sanji. If you want to know what that leader does, basically once you get to the late game, which the deck ramps to very fast, you just get to draw 2 cards every turn. And on top of drawing 2 cards, you get to effectively use a 5-drop searcher every turn. But instead of going to the bottom every time, you can reorder the top of your life. So it's, or not your life, sorry, your deck. So very strong. And the deck just kind of plays solitaire. It's very boring to play against. I would rather play against NL than Blue Purple because at least NL, there's a little bit of interaction there, but that's a personal gripe. But they're about the same tier, I would say. So yeah, I think we might see Hody Jones get hit, which is unfortunate. I don't want to see that. We might see the reason why, I guess I'll back that up. The reason why I think they might hit Hody Jones and 8K, I think. Hold on, I have these all my decks right here. So let me see. Should be right here. Yeah, like I said, my desk is covered in like cards and stuff because I was going through and sorting my things. All right, so I have Hody Jones right here. Yeah, so a 7-drop 8K power character with Rush is very strong. He's supposed to have a built-in drawback of taking your own life, like taking a damage. But the issue is that in a lot of cases, that just means you draw a card that you can use to counter or do something later. Or you just play when you have no life, so there's no drawback. And his ability to rest 2 things is very strong. And they just printed a new event card in the newest set that came out, OP12. And that card is effectively Hody Jones, but it costs a little bit less, and the only thing it does is rest characters through Dawn cards. So it does the same thing Hody does. The only difference is it costs 3 Dawn less, and you don't get an 8,000 body with Rush. So Hody might get hit. They could hit a Blackbeard card just to knock Blackbeard down a little bit. I really don't want them to do that because I think personally Blackbeard is not bad. It'll never be a bad deck, but it's just not very well set up into specifically Blue-Purple Luffy. And I think if they get rid of Blue-Purple Luffy as a leader, Blackbeard will get a lot stronger and will help to balance out a lot of the rest of the meta. And I think that Blackbeard, while being annoying to play against, is a healthy-ish deck for the meta. And also I have the deck, so I would really like that to not get hurt at all. But they might touch like the stage or searcher event for that deck. And then lastly, I think they could take some cards off the ban list realistically. Me personally, I think Gecko Moria could come back. I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but Black Yellow Luffy has been out of the meta forever, and so is Lucci's been doing his best, and we've seen a couple Lucci tops. I think Lucci might have even won a regional, but the issue is they don't have enough to compete. And if you look at cards coming out in not this current set OP12 but OP13, there is a deck that just does what Gecko Moria does, but better. And it's very oppressive. It might be a tier 0. So Gecko Moria I could see coming back in like a limited quantity just to help bring back Black Yellow Luffy and Black Moria. And more black decks, I think, will help shake up the meta. Because without Blue-Purple Luffy, I feel a lot of the decks in the meta that will take over are going to be these more mid-rangey, aggressive decks like that are very progressive with their like board flood. So stuff like Purple Black Luffy, I feel would be very strong, or Purple Luffy, right? And then Green Purple Luffy. So I feel like black as a color is not very good. So either bring back Gecko Moria as a way for it to have a late game bomb to help control these more mid range and aggressive style go wide decks, or bring back, which I know they won't do, but bring back Ice Age so that they have a more usable removal for these kinds of very strong decks. But I don't think that'll come back. And then there's always the chance that they ban Blue Nami because they've been releasing really, really good support for that leader, even though we have our card game rotation in April, right? So in April, all the Block 1 cards are rotating out, and I do believe Blue Nami is on that list. But they could get rid of it just because they've been receiving a lot of good support. And Nami has already been doing very, very good in regionals. It even won a regional over in the East in Japan. So very, very strong card. And it's only getting better as they release more blue cards. So we could see something happen with Nami. And then as for other leaders, maybe like Sakazuki could come back. I think he's not that bad. Maybe they errata him or something like that. And then cards that definitely won't come off is, I mean, Red Purple Law, obviously. You might be able to bring back the boat for Edward Newgate as well. I could see that. But yeah, anyways, enough yapping. That's just my predictions. Get rid of Blue Purple. They might get rid of Gum Gum. They'll probably get rid of Hody. They might get rid of Stage for Teach. And then they might get rid of Nami. And then for the bringbacks, they could bring back probably like Sakazuki. And hopefully a card to make black relevant again. Oh, and they might... Nah, they wouldn't bring back Reject because Calgar is getting support. So yeah. All right, without further ado, now that I'm done yapping, banned and restricted cards effective from August 30th, 2025, announced on August 20th, 2025, so I guess at midnight. Here we go. As part of our commitment to maintaining a balanced competitive environment, we are adding and removing... Wait. Oh, okay, because this is for the blanket. Okay, adding and removing the following cards from the banned and restricted card list effective August 30th, 2025. And then there's a message from the One Piece card game development team. We will read that at the end. So banned pair cards, and I'm just going to slowly scroll down. Banned pair. Decks containing card A are not permitted to include any of cards listed as card B. All right, so card A, OP11 040 Monkey D Luffy. Card B, OP11 067 Charlotte Katakuri, and OP08 Charlotte Linlin. Okay. Wait! Okay, guys. So I've played 2 card games competitively before One Piece. It was Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. The way that Magic limited things is I believe they just straight up banned them if they're too strong. The way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Ran it is they had limited, semi-limited, and banned, right? Because you can have up to 3 copies of a card. So they would semi-limit a card, meaning it could be at 2, or they would limit a card, leaving it at 1, or ban it, right? No copies. This is the first time I've ever seen this, and it makes sense, I guess. So basically, what this is saying, so from here, first off, what I'm getting is Blue Purple Luffy is not banned, which I think is not the right play, because I feel the leader effect to draw 2 cards for ramping is too strong, and there already are other versions of the deck that run like the Don Quixote Pirate package, and it's still just very boring to play against. Hopefully this pushes it into a little bit more of an aggressive build, but I doubt it. But basically what this is saying, chat, is you cannot play Charlotte Katakuri or Charlotte Linlin in a deck if Blue Purple Luffy is your leader. Which is very cool, because basically, right, the game plan was you got to 9 Dawn, you'd play out Charlotte Linlin, bottom deck something, heal a life, and then the next turn you'd play either Sanji into Linlin or Sanji into Katakuri, or Katakuri, like raw, or another Linlin. But this card right here, for those of you who don't know what this does, I'll just pull it up. It's a 8-drop, 8,000 power blocker, pretty strong. End of your turn, you set up to 2 of your Big Mom Pirates type characters as active, right? So Charlotte Linlin, of course, also being a Big Mom Pirates type character right here, means that you would restand your Linlin and your Katakuri. So you have a blocker with 8,000 power that can swing every turn and then restands itself for free. So you have a free attack that your opponent can't clear without swinging huge into your board, or if you're black, spending your entire hand to remove. And then this Big Mom that you played earlier to remove your opponent's board, you can now restand as well, so they can't swing into that either, or freeze it, right, if you're playing against Bonnie. And you also can't use any of your freeze abilities, like your 5-drop Bonnie if you're playing Green Yellow Law, to freeze this guy, because he will just restand himself anyways, right? So very strong combo here. Now you can't do that in Blue Purple Luffy, so they took away one of the bigger stall and control aspects of that deck. Do I think this is the right move? Honestly, I do like this alternate art, by the way. I don't like the design of this leader. I like the colors. One of my favorite decks of all time is Blue Purple Reiju, right? I love the color scheme. I like 6,000 power leaders. I think they're pretty based. But the deck doesn't play beatdown like all the other 6,000 power leaders I've seen, right? It plays very boring, very control, because drawing 2 cards is a very good payoff, chat. And so a lot of people just build around that, and they just try to make the game as long as possible and win through a war of attrition. And the game kind of does one of these deals where your opponent's winning, and then eventually starts to level out. Blue-purple plays a couple cards, and then boom, it just goes downhill. And blue-purple will win if you do not find a way to kill it before you get to that hub, because, excuse me, in any card game you play, card advantage is what is going to win you that game, and this guy just gives you free card advantage. Time will tell whether or not this is impactful enough to remove him from his top spot as the boogeyman of the meta. I think he will still be a very strong contender. People are going to find a way to build around him, make him a very strong leader, but this is a step in the right direction. And this also tells me that they probably didn't ban either of these purple cards, which is good for me, because I put them into a red-purple Luffy list that I'm running as just like an experiment, because I did not want to play blue-purple Luffy as a leader because boring, and I think that red is based. So anyways, very interesting. Enough yapping about that, but again, this was one of the biggest questions of the ban list that everybody had. So now the real question is, did they get rid of Hody Jones, and did they bring anybody back? So let's start scrolling down. Banned cards. Banned card. This card, can it be included in any deck? Nami. Alright, so they did get rid of Nami. Kind of unfortunate. I was actually just thinking about building this leader. Kind of sad. It's funny because this card rotates. As you can see here, this little devil fruit with the one that means it's block 1, so it rotates in April. They went ahead and got rid of Nami because of one specific card. And let me go ahead and pull that card up real quick so you guys can see. Because I believe it is... So if you don't know... So we'll go blue Nami here. Right, so this is the leader. There's a specific card that came out. Let me look that up, and we'll just go to images. It should pop up here. Right, so it was getting a lot of strong cards, right? Like, so this one here was very strong, right? It lets you do another, take another card out of your deck and all that. So that card was very good. And then there was a really new card. I can't find it. It was, so basically it was like a 1 or a 2K counter that lets you trash stuff. I'll just get rid of that. I'm not going to go into that right now. But yeah, this card actually did win a tournament. Had been getting a couple tops here and there. And so with that one card that they released, one card, chat, they said, all right, Nami's too strong. And it's kind of sad because this is the only leader. There are a lot of unique leaders in this game, right? This is the only leader to ever be printed with an alternate win con for the game of One Piece. Right? So when your deck is reduced to 0, normally you lose, but this leader says you win the game instead of losing according to the rules, which that just means that it has custom rules, effectively, is how this leader works. So it says if you deck out, you win. And so what this deck would do, right, is you're just trying to run out of cards in your decks. You're just milling yourself and trying to win off of that. And that extra card gave you a little bit of math that you needed to make this deck apparently too fast for whatever they thought the meta was going to be. Yeah, and then Dawn Times 1, when it deals damage to your opponent's life, trash a card from the top of your deck. Whatever. That ability's like fine, right? But yeah, very strong ability overall. You start with 40 cards in your deck, by the way, this deck. Because if you do the math, right, it's a 5-life leader, so that's 5 cards away from your deck. You start with 5 cards in hand, that's 5 more. So you only have to get rid of 40 cards. So this leader, if you Dawn Times 1 and attack every turn, technically you're on a 40-turn clock. Well, it's the cards you draw every turn. So really it's like... 20. Anyways. So yeah, Blue Nami is gone. Very interesting. A lot of people were saying that might have happened. The ban list did get delayed once they announced the support for this deck. So a lot of people were speculating this. Myself included, I really didn't want to see it because I wanted to build it. I think it's funny. I think it's a very high skill ceiling deck for the most part, even though it looks boring to play against. And I just think it's cool, right? Alternate win conditions are very interesting. And this game doesn't have any others. So, well, there it goes. I guess they just want you to beat face the old-fashioned way and just take the life. All right, now we'll keep going. Cards removed from the ban. Wait, so this means... Wait, there's unbanned cards. I think I saw the name too. After assessing the current game environment, we're removing the following cards from the ban list. Unbanned. OP05 Sakazuki. Chat. Activate main once per turn. Trash a card from your hand. Draw a card. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost during this turn. So chat. They brought back the king of consistency. Black-blue Sakazuki. UB Sakazuki. That is crazy. So this deck, for those who don't know, at the time that it came out, took over the game. Because the ability to just filter your hand every turn for free is crazy. Right? On top of, he gets effectively the Rob Lucci ability of whenever he attacks -1 cost to a character, but instead of trashing cards, when he attacks, he gets to instead filter his hand and trash one at a time instead of two from Rob Lucci. But the difference is, chat, this leader has blue and black in his cost, or in his colors, right? So blue and black, he's a 4-life leader, but whatever. Blue and black, so he can run Charlotte Pudding, he can run Gum Gum Red Rock, he can run Hound Blaze. Very, very strong cards, chat, for him to run. And then on top of that, there's a lot of new blue Navy support coming out in OP12 because they printed a blue Navy leader in Kuzan. So there is a lot and a lot of new blue Navy support that is honestly pretty good. Like Kuzan's doing pretty good in the East, I think. And in the West, I'm sure he'll make some splashes because I know a lot of people like the character. And now they're like, hey, what if we gave you Kuzan, but the payoff that Kuzan didn't have, is, you just have it now. You just have it. Chat, this is going to be very interesting. I wonder if they gave us any black cards to support this, because this makes me think they didn't bring anything else. Another thing to note, though, chat, no Hody Jones. No Hody Jones to be seen anywhere. Our boy's not on the list. Green strong. All right, and we'll keep moving down. That is a very interesting. I'm so glad that we decided to take that leader off the list. Red Purple Law will probably stay here forever. Okay, yeah. I was about to say this is crazy, but it makes sense. They banned Blue Nami. This card was here because of Blue Nami, right? It's a 1k counter 2-drop that if you have Moji, draw 2, trash 1 from your hand. You would run this because of Blue Nami. You would just run this emoji as like counter cards because it lets you take 2 cards out of your deck, right? Very strong. It just made Nami too strong with the math. I mean, 1 card really was the difference in Blue Nami, chat. So now that Blue Nami's gone, this card is absolutely fine. I don't know any other deck that would make this a menace. So yeah, that can come off probably. And is that it? Cards which have become effective. Okay, so it's just the whole list. Yep, so we still have Gecko Moria, Jinbei, Ice Age, Kingdom Come, Red Purple Law, Eni's Lobby. Wait, what does effective mean? Isn't Sakazuki... Wait, what's going on here? I don't know what this whole cards which have become effective really means, chat. But yeah, these were the previously banned cards from what I can tell. So it's like 11 cards, it looks like. Yep, so Moby Dick, reject. Great Eruption was a card in Sakazuki. Let me go ahead and pull this one up, chat. Draw 1 card and give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost for the turn for 1 Dawn, chat. That's really good. And then the trigger is some hand attack, which is very strong. But this card, chat, is so strong because it lets you filter your hand, so it's free. And it's a -2 cost. For only 1 Dawn, you get to filter this card out of your hand. It replaces itself. And you get to do -2 cost. People have to run an entire leader just to get the free -1 cost every turn. And you're still stuck into black, right? I mean, now that you have Sakazuki, you can play blue too, but whatever. So that card, obviously too strong. Reject was a card, I'll go over that real quick because it was something that could have come off for Kalgara. But Kalgara's been getting a lot of support. But this one was crazy, chat. My buddy was running this. He didn't even realize it was banned, so I had to upgrade him on that one. But yeah, KO up to one of your opponent's 5 cost or less characters. Crazy. Very strong. For 4 Dawn in yellow, chat. Crazy. But you get to choose a different one, which is if your opponent has a life card, deal a damage to your opponent, then add a card from the top of your life to your hand. So you can deal damage to your opponent and then take a damage. Very, very strong for only 4 Dawn, chat. And then, I mean, normally you have to pay like a 6 Dawn card to burn a life, right? You either have Basil Hawkins, who has to get KO'd, or Robin, who's a 6-drop, but in order to do that, they have to have 3 or more life, right? The only card I know that just straight up burns life right now is the new 9 Bonnie coming out in OP13, 9-drop Bonnie, or 8-drop Eustace Captain. So 8 Dawn, chat. And sure, you get a character with that does something, but 8 Dawn to burn a life, and this card was like, no, you can do it for free. And then trigger, draw a card, sure, just replace itself if you don't want to brick. Very strong, but yeah. Chat, this is very good. There's a card that, for the same rate, does this thing. The first one, which is Damned Punk. It's another 4-drop, right? 4-cost event that says you can look at the top of your opponent's life and then put it back on the top or the bottom. And then KO your opponent's 5-cost or less character. But that card doesn't have the option, excuse me, to burn your opponent's life. So, again, not even close to the same power level. We didn't see Moby Dick come off. Yeah, this one is only good in Whitebeard. I think it could have come back. I personally would have loved to see Whitebeard shake up the meta. I think it's a pretty cool deck. 6,000 power, 6 life leader. Very interesting leader. But there's that one. Law staying dead. Kingdom Come not coming back. And then Jinbei. They still don't want to see Moria. Or sorry, Doflamingo come back. Right, and then Ice Age and Moria are staying banned. So guys, chat, very interesting ban list. Time will tell really here whether or not this does anything meaningful. I hope it takes Luffy out of the meta. I really hope it does. Do I think it will? No. Do I think it takes him out of his king spot? Maybe. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Press 1 for the run, chat, on that one. Because this leader is boring, and out of all my decks here that I have, because like I said, I have my whole desk here is just my one-piece decks because I was sorting through them. I have a plan, somewhat of a plan, for almost every single one of these decks for Blue Purple Luffy that I had to build in. So I think I could change that now, but I'm so sorry. Like I said, just woke up, chat. Blue Nami, sad to see my girl go. I know a lot of people hate this deck. I'm not one of them. And then Sakazuki coming back is very interesting. I actually do have a copy of this version of the leader, so I could throw it together. But I don't know. We'll see. Probably not. And then Kabaji coming back, sure. All right, chat. Well, that will pretty much do it for this stream. Thank you so much for tuning in, if you did.